Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Or sometimes, if you're Terence Crawford and Dmitry Bivol, you're going to find yourself on the losing end of the stick most of the time when it comes to trying to make the biggest fights because of the secret society. Listen, y'all not noticing the similarities between Crawford and Bivol? Both of these guys are arguably probably the best fighters right now when you look at overall skill set. Okay? Amazing talents. Just everything they do, it's kind of hard to go against them in the ring. But why in the world these guys only have one belt? We understand Terence Crawford missed the opportunity. He ship sailed on him. The ship sailed on him, it sailed on him. But there's so many different little bits and pieces of facts that are slowly coming out about the whole Terence Crawford, Earl Spence negotiation breakdown that would lead me to believe that there's some culpability on the ends of both teams. I'm not going to say Spence and Crawford, I'm going to say their teams. I truly believe both teams are somewhat at fault. But I'm not here to get into that. When we peel it back, even before Earl Spence was picking up all those titles, you look at Terence Crawford, he could not get a fight with any of those guys over at PBC at 147 for Terence Crawford to become unified. There's always some hiccup. There was always some problem. Now, I just wish there was more information opposed to some of these articles that are thrown out here. Opposed to some guy who just creates a video and throws and makes up stories and creates their own narratives. But one thing I know is if there's a fight to be made and it's wanted by not just the fighters, not just the promoters, it's wanted by the sanctioning bodies and those key decision makers behind the scenes, they're going to make sure that the money's there. Whatever obstacles are in the way, they're going to find a way to get around that. And it just makes, when I look at what's going on right now in boxing, right, everything, how certain fights are being blocked. You get guys who are in a mandatory position, but they don't want to go and fight for the title because they feel like it's not enough money and they don't have to take it. And then the sanctioning body, you think will go right down the line to the second, third in the rankings, and they don't. They allow the champion to make a voluntary defense or against whoever they want. When you look at that, I can't sit here and apply the logic against a guy like Terence Crawford that parliamentary protocol is what should have been followed when it comes to him. That is not the case. But I'm telling you, and I look at Bivol's situation, and I really feel that the secret society, they have an idea of who they want to go on to become undisputed, or who they want to go on to become unified, or what they want to see, or who they want to see at the end, standing at the top. And it may take a while for that to come together, especially if the person who they don't want to be there, who they don't want their guy to fight or their guys to fight because of the risk that it is that they be taking getting in the ring with them. Like Terence Crawford is extremely high risk. They'd rather wait to just run them out the division. And then they'll sit there, man, game plan executed, and they'll get what they want. But when you look at Dmitry Bivol, this man was trying to make unifications. We're talking about 5-6 years ago, man. You know, it's really frustrating Remember, they offered Ramirez a fight. But the thing is, Bivol already had a deal done to fight in Russia. So his team, they did offer Ramirez to fight him on December 11th at the time in Russia. And the price they offered him was about the same being offered by Golden Boy to fight on the Golden Boy show. They're like, oh, look, all right, no problem. I'm already committed to fight in Russia. I want to fight in Russia. But instead of me coming and fighting you in California, how about you just come on over to Russia? That way we can unify. And, of course, they turned it down. So Bivol's been saying this for the last few years, that he wants unifications, he wants the best fights, biggest fights, and those are his motivations and ambitions. And he hasn't been able to get that. And the thing is, that's why when you see him fight a guy like Canelo once, okay, he's the best, box check, but at the end of the day, I want legacy. And he hasn't been able to get that. You look at what's going on with Bivol right now. This isn't a situation like Terence Crawford and Earl Spence where so many people have gotten involved in the negotiation process, and so much has been put out to the public that has become such a damn mess that it may be near impossible to make the fight happen, especially when you have one guy who doesn't even want to be at 147 anymore. I just really think the ship has sailed. But in Bivol's case, he's not leaving 175. He wants to fight. The guy who he said, Biev wants to fight him. They're both sitting there scratching their heads. Their teams want them to fight. They're sitting there scratching their heads as to what's going on. Why aren't you allowing us to fight? It's a little bit different than everything that was going on over there with Spence and Crawford. You haven't once heard Bivol say, I'll move up to cruiserweight. You haven't heard Biev saying, I'll move up to cruiserweight. You haven't even heard Bivol say he'll go down to 168. He's like, yeah, I can make it, but why do that? Why do I have to basically kill myself to get down to fight for some undisputed titles at 168? It's interesting, but why? He doesn't care about that. He wants to stay at 175 and do his thing. But then you look when Suleiman comes and he blocks the damn undisputed fight. It's crazy. But when it came to Biev was just put in position after position after position to pick up his belts. So I honestly think it just depends on which side of the road you're on. And again, take a look at what's going on here. Bob Arum, top rank. Biev. This makes you wonder, man. It really does make you wonder if the secret society, if they sit back, man, and they're like in this big control center, and they're just, you can just see them back there and just calling the shots and directing where they want things to go and what they want to happen, man. And that's really how I see it. I see like you got some guys with like a black mask on their face. Like you'll never see their face. It's just like a black mask dressed in black suits with white gloves. Then you got the sanctioning bodies there, the leads of the sanctioning bodies. Then you got a couple big-time promoters in there. And they're just sitting there just planning out the next year, the next 3 years, the next 5 years, who they're going to put in what positions. Like a strategic approach of how they want the boxing landscape to look across all weight divisions over the next few years. Some of you may say, oh, look, man, you're taking it to the stupid. I'm going to say, well, okay, it's fair for you to have that opinion. I'm just saying, sit back and take a look. You sit back and you tell me, with everything going on in boxing right now, you tell all the crap that happened with them Fury fights in Wilder, the stuff that happened years before that in boxing, the stuff that's happening right now, man. You look at what's going on with Regis Prograis. Look what's going on, man. The guy's not wanting to fight him and not having to fight him. And then, you know, this. What I'm saying is Devin Haney and Lomachenko. Now, Devin Haney, all that crap coming over the top rank, man, fighting Kambosos, and now look at the position he's in. He's still not getting the respect he deserves. All I'm saying is to try to have an open mind to really understand what's going on here. But what I will say is if key decision makers don't want a certain fighter to reach a certain position, and you start speaking negatively about boxing about your career, about your weight division, that's not good. That's just going to add fuel to the fire. It's not going to make them want to have a change of mind about you. They're going to want to really ratchet down and squeeze you out of your position, out of your belt, and put you somewhere else to where you're not problematic for them. And I'm going to be quite frank with you. I think they want both Errol Spence and Terence Crawford out of the welterweight division. I don't think they want them there. I think Errol Spence was very fortunate to be over there with Al Heyman. He was able to get the fights. We know top-ranking Al Heyman weren't able to make the fights for Crawford. Crawford may have been offered some fights, offered some money. Who knows what happened behind closed doors. But one thing we do know has been public is Crawford decided to walk away from the fight. But Errol Spence is what it is. Blame who you want. I think we should be looking more at those people behind the scenes. Then you come over and look at Bivol, what's going on with him. Another opportunity to make an undisputed distinction. All of that is becoming problematic. Roadblocks being put there that don't need to be put there. They've always said the undisputed fight takes precedence over any other fight. That's not the case. I've always said that's bullshit. People out here want to argue with me in the comments. Now look and see. Okay, well, you explain to me why the hell we're sitting here now and nobody's really forcing an undisputed fight for Bivol and Bertabiev. You can say what you want about the high-profile failed negotiations between Crawford and Spence. We can say all we want. You're giving everybody an out to say, well, this is why we don't want to do it. Those guys X, Y, and Z. All right? But with Bivol and Bertabiev, what excuse have they given anyone to be pissed off at them, angry at them, to not want to see this fight go forward? I'll tell you something, man. It's just corruption, man. It's the secret society. It really is. Crawford and Bivol should have already been in their fights. But let's forget about Crawford. But for Bivol right now, what I think is happening to him is just foul, foul, foul. Talking about banning him, sanctions on him, his fight purse, taking a percentage of the man's fight purse. What are we talking about here? How is that okay? But you're not doing it to Bertabiev? They're both Russian. It's crazy. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. But we're going to see what happens because you got some other fighters from that region who aren't quite getting the same treatment as Bivol. But it makes me wonder, why is Bertabiev exempt? But at the end of the day, more to come on all of this crap. But we kind of know the direction Crawford and Spence are going. But let's see what the secret society is going to do with Bivol. Because I'm telling you, just like with Crawford and Spence, that fight's not happening. There's a reason that fight's not happening, and it's more than Crawford just walking away. With Bivol and Bertabiev, if that fight doesn't happen, which I don't think is going to happen, then we got to say the same thing. What exactly happened here, okay? We could do all the finger pointing right now with these other guys at the lower weight classes, but what's the problem here with the guy in this higher weight class at 175? That being said, more to come on all this, but I'm going to really start paying attention. I'm going to go through each weight division and try to break down the champions, why unifications haven't happened, why they have happened, look and see who keeps getting the opportunities to fight, to pick up another belt, and to try to piece it all together to make sense. Because right now, none of this is making sense to me. I just know that something stinks. And I just can't understand why in this day and age, there's so many problems with making a damn undisputed fight. Like, it's the 4-belt era. It make you wonder, does anybody outside of Devin Haney want to have 4 belts? Joshua's getting all them opportunities for belts. Wilder missed out on an opportunity because there was something that happened behind the scenes. People want to blame Wilder. People want to blame AJ. One of those reps for the zone came out, said that they were the cause of the breakdown because of the way they handled things. They came in too aggressive. But people still want to blame Wilder. People want to blame AJ. No, man. Blame that guy who came out and said that they handled Wilder's team unprofessionally and they were wrong. See, stop blaming the fighters And with this whole thing going on with 147, 175, you're going to probably see it happen there at 168, because how the hell Canelo getting to keep floating around here at 168 and not really put them belts on the line? Something needs to happen. But that being said, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans. I'm in the breeze.